late night scrolling to a very special East Coast kitchen party. I'm here with Adam Wylde Jax. Thank you so much for coming by.
Than's for having us. It's a beautiful condo you've bought yourself here. This is great. Yeah, I love the kitchen. It's
the life of a podcaster. You know, you do 10 episodes and you have a downtown condo.
Luxurious.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I know the drill. I'm sure. Is this condo 4 now for you guys?
All I do is buy condos every 3 minutes. Yeah. No, it's gorgeous in here. Thanks for having us.
Oh, I'm so glad you guys came. I'm so glad we're having like a bit of an East Coast moment, and we'll induct you now officially as an honorary East Coast.
I'm so happy about that. I did live there. I do want people to know I lived there.
You know a lot about
and
East Coast.
I love it, and I think I'll probably retire there.
Okay, tell me 3 things about the East Coast right now.
Well, 3. What? Like just 3?
Just 3 things.
Well, I've been kayaking on the Bay of Fundy.
Okay.
Which was fun. 3 things about it. Well, I mean, listen, I think. Oh my God!
Who's the king of media in Nova Scotia?
That would be Steve Murphy.
There we go.
But the prince in waiting is Bruce Frisco.
There we go. I'll accept that. That's 3 right there. He's an East Coast,
I mean, yeah, you really put me on the spot there, but I absolutely, I lived in Clayton Park, and my friends who were all from Bedford were kind of like, would love to make fun of me for that and that sort of thing, but I absolutely loved it there, and I think it's because, like, I remember when I moved out, I was probably 19 or 20. And I dropped out of school, took an overnight job at The Bounce, which is now Virgin Radio, I think.
101.3 The Bounce.
Yeah, and you loved that station.
I just got chilled. Like, that was so good.
Yeah, imagine being on a hip hop station too. Like, it really was. At that time we launched, we were like hip hop leaning, and it's still hilarious because the whitest white guy on the overnights. I remember I was gonna be alone for my birthday. And my best friend, Zach, who is still one of my best friends, who lives in Calgary now, true East Coaster, moved to Alberta. And he basically, he told his mom, and his mom was like, what? And it was actually same thing at Christmas, too. It was like, what do you mean you're not going to be with family at Christmas? And I remember they just, they brought in all of us, come from a ways, from the radio station, and hosted like 12 of us. And she made food for everybody, and it really is a special place, and I hope it's still like that.
Oh, it's for sure is.
It is?
For sure is. Yeah, so that must be how you two met. You must have adopted Adam in. As you get to Toronto, you're like, no, I will take you in, and we will.
No, you know what? Adam took me in, honestly. Adam really took me in. Because I had moved here in 2015. Adam and I had mutual friends from C100 and 101.3 The Bounce. And I started working on KISS. Adam was the afternoon host. And like one of the first days you picked me up in your little tiny car.
The first day, it was St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it was St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. And but Adam kind of showed me, you really showed me around town, and like we had a crossover. I was middays and he was afternoons, so like you would come in early, like you were constantly asking like, how has your time been, giving me recommendations. Yeah, you were like,
none of them were good recommendations.
No, it was my
I tried it. She ended up being like a very cool like West End Toronto person for a while. She's now an East Ender like me, but yeah, like I think one of the things that is so interesting about the East Coast is that people know people. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. And I remember in like 2011, and this is a couple years after I'd left, somebody said to me, actually it was my buddy Zach, his now wife. They've been together since they were like 15, of course, and they're just madly in love with each other. And she said, there's this girl that Zach works with at C100. Her name's Jax. You would love her. And it's so funny. We exchanged a couple messages on Facebook at the time.
I remember being nervous when I wrote him a message, and then I when you write a message to your crush, like not actually, but you write a message, and you're like, oh, I should, and then you overthink it. I had to delete the message because I was so nervous sending my first message. I don't have Adam and I's first message. I don't think I've ever told this. I don't have it because I deleted it because I was so anxious because he was so cool.
Well, that's so not true.
And now look at us.
Yeah. So sorry. We've given you our backstory, and you didn't even ask for it.
No, I did want it because I think it's interesting. People know you from radio, right? I know you from East Coast, for real. So like this whole middle of the story saga of you guys on Toronto radio is not how I know you, which I think is a really interesting twist in all of this. But now you're big in the podcast scene, which is like a evolution to me of one of the best parts of a radio show, which is it's the uninterrupted. There's no like, we'll be right back and here's the message. It's just you guys unfiltered for like an hour. Mm-hmm. And that's so much fun. It's almost like the conversations you can't quite get to in a radio segment you get to do without like any holdups or stops or
songs you don't want to hear again.
Yeah. Okay, what song can't you listen to anymore?
Anything by Imagine Dragons. I can't I remember. I was at the gym yesterday, and the guy I work out with, he owns the gym, and Demons from Imagine Dragons came on, and I said, Scott, we have to change. I said, I can't do another thing until this is off.
You're like, this song is my demon, actually.
I can't do it. Like, there are songs, there are artists where, and again, you got to remember too, like when I was coming up, it was like the beginning of Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and some of these amazing pop artists that really did have great.
It was
first
a lot
albums.
of house too. It was like David Guetta was on everything.
Yeah, David Guetta, Sean Kingston. It was doing like like there was some like really interesting, fun pop music, and then we got to sort of and pop music comes in cycles, right? So you get to a place where it gets super dancey. And then it usually takes a bit of a fall and goes into ballads, which I can remember like Adele when she was on
Ed Sheeran needs a nap.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And he seems like a wonderful guy. I have nothing personally against him, but I can't.
So Ed's your guy?
Ed is like, and he's so lovely, but if he reemerges from his little cave, I think he's doing it right now for an album cycle, right? Yeah. Enough.
Turn it down.
Enough.
Now our producer Steph, who's here, hates all of this.
Yeah. Shout out Steph behind the camera.
That is someone who loves pop music and really gets it. So I have to remember sometimes I'm like, I'm 37. This is not for me anymore. Like they're not making it for me.
They're not.
They never really were. They were making it for young women, but I enjoyed it too.
Ed Sheeran's making ballads for you, honey.
No, I don't.
Yes.
You're Old and Boring by Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
I love it. So with the podcast, I think it's really fun how you go deep into pop culture, but this is a Canadian pop culture podcast, so I want to kind of go that way with you guys.
Yeah.
Is there a Canadian pop culture story that you two like look back on and say, that was the story that really brought us together, or that was a day on radio that like we will never forget?
What a question. That's a good question. I think
That's a fantastic question.
You used to do a lot of the artist interviews at KISS, because Jax did the middle of the day, I would do the afternoon. And I remember because a lot of the artists wouldn't come in till the afternoon, Jax would get the interview and then they'd record it.
They didn't want to come in at 5 a.m. and talk to you? That's crazy.
You know, when we did mornings at Virgin, you find that when you bring artists in, and Amy, who works for, does a ton of PR, Amy's over here.
Shout out to Amy.
And she set all this up. You know, she'll tell you, like, it's pretty hard to get people to, like, maneuver and have something interesting to say.
Chatting with
So like Canadian artist wise, like Coleman Hell was an interesting one because he was like always funny.
I forgot about
Remember him? I don't know what happened to him.
I feel like I'm having a That's So Raven flashback.
Yeah, right?
My brain just went like, oh my God, Coleman Hell.
Down for a good time. You know what? I'll tell you, like the guys from Down with Webster were always super cool. It was nice to see them reunite. And it's funny because I saw them in Toronto, and then when I was working in Calgary, they were like, hey, come to our show and then come out later. And the guys from Ian, the drummer from Mariana's Trench, texted me when the Leafs got eliminated because he's a big Habs fan, and he's like, "Listen, I'm not going to chirp you, but
Mariana's Trench. If you're looking to party, Mariana's
good
Trench.
Guys,
best
good
people
guys.
to party with ever. A late night will be had. Yeah, but brought us together. Oh my God.
Maybe I'll poke one your way that you mentioned off camera, which was a shared disappointment in not getting to cover the MMVAs together. Can we get into that? What happened there?
So when Adam and I were on KISS, and then when we started doing the morning show on Virgin, like one of the big, like growing up in Nova Scotia, like to work in the Much Music building, like, it's 260 Richmond, but it's 299 corner of Queen and John. And that is like, to know that Electric Circus was there, the Backstreet Boys a bit, like everybody's been through there. So like when signing to work in that building, you think I'll have the chance to do the MMVAs, and then to hear, like we were told we were going to get to cover the MMVAs, and
that was part of the thing. They're like, we're going to put you on stage, whatever. And then that year, budget cuts. They were like, yeah, we're just not going to do it.
Because before that, it had become it had already become the iHeart Music Awards, and then it was the No Awards.
And then COVID hit, and there's no chance that it ever comes back now, which is a shame.
It was so much fun, my God. And I had gone there, like covering it from a different station back in 2014, but we would have been. I will say Adam Wylde is a good hype man on stage. Okay,
we would have had fun.
Yeah, we did Halsey, I think, shortly after.
Yes, we did Halsey at, was it Danforth or Opera House or something like that?
It was Opera House, and
she was great.
Yeah, she was fantastic, and we did. Yeah, Adam loved some crowd work, so he would have been crowd working with the Can fans.
Do you know where I learned crowd work?
Where?
Halifax, Nova Scotia. And there was a morning show host, I don't know if you remember this, Frankie Hollywood.
Do I remember Frankie Hollywood? What kind of question is that, Adam?
Frankie and I were like this, and I remember actually I helped him replace plumbing in his basement once. Like that's how tight we were. But Frankie was a club DJ and a hype guy first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like that's where he really. So we'd be at like the Dome for Fahrenheit Fridays, which is what we used to do. Remember that? And then there was Bubbles Mansion and some of these other places we did live to air.
Yeah.
Listen, I know.
The Red Bull vodkas. They had to put up the price because people getting too into her. Oh,
Well,
yes.
yeah, and I was there the year that they got rid of dollar shots in Halifax because somebody was thrown through a window at
That
Dome.
needs a Heritage Minute commercial.
Dollar drinks were violent. Dollar drinks led to crimes, and you know what? No more.
And by the way, they just upped them to $2. Like it was like, oh man, we've made a huge change.
That's a toonie and not a loony.
100%.
Loonies are for laundry.
My friend Sarah was like, I think I'm gonna like. Her heart was palpitating because she had so much because it was always Red Bull vodkas.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's like,
You're downtown, your heart's feeling like the wave. It's too much.
$2, right?
So
God.
we did the Natal Day parade, and this is like my first. I'd never heard of Natal Day. Like
Sure.
I'm from Toronto.
Nobody knows what Natal Day is. When I came here, I was like, oh, it's Natal Day. They're
I
like,
know.
pardon me?
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah.
Heard.
Yeah.
Well,
Isn't that crazy?
You're gonna have to come to the parade this week, and I was like, what parade? And they're like, we're in the parade. And I was like, oh, okay, I just got here. What do you mean?
They call it long weekend.
Yeah. And
No, it's Natal Day.
Frankie is on our float. And it's just like it's like a rented U-Haul thing that we covered in bounce gear and like literally threw together with tape. And Frankie has his turntables and he's got a PA system and he's pumping music and he is getting people into it. In Toronto, and we get this in hockey, very quiet. Sit down, watch the game. Shut up, everybody. Shut up. I'm trying to watch the hockey game. In Halifax, there can be nothing going on, as my friend Steve likes to say, but everybody's at the nothing. And when there is something going on, they're willing to. So Frankie would be like hyping people up, and you'd see these grandmothers just like, woo! Like,
Shirts
we're
off, Nanny,
brand new
let's
radio.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so watching him, it was sort of like it was all of that. And then I used to do, and I don't know if you did these too, these like university parties. Where we would be hired in as the
always
DJs.
at Dal. Yeah.
At Dal all the time for Frosh and all that. Oh, it was awesome.
I want to talk a little bit about what you were saying about like how the East Coast kind of created or showed you a side of like the crowd work and how the Halifax is so innately community together storytelling. When you came to Toronto, was there almost like culture shock in how I feel? I'll tell you how I feel about it and you tell me if you
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I have a natural inclination to connect with people just because there's a baseline of people expect that when you're in Nova Scotia and you're like, how do we know each other? Who do we know that's the same? Do we go to the same places? You come to Toronto, it's like not the culture here. How do you react to that? Is it shocking? Is it different? Do you feel like you can bring people into it?
It's lonely. And I will say, because it was a big shock, and the biggest thing I noticed right away was, back in Halifax, the media community, whether you worked for Z103 or The Bounce or like whoever, everybody hangs out with each other. When I came here, it was like, you are on KISS, we do not talk to Virgin. Like, it was very, and it's,
It's tribal.
it's like you don't have that crossover. So I really stuck with the folks that I worked with, like, Adam and Blake and everyone at KISS. But I was lucky because when I moved here, a lot of other Nova Scotians were moving here, and even Nova Scotians that I didn't really know, but you just became friends here. Yes. Now, so we had a whole crew. Since a lot of folks have moved back, but it can be really, really lonely. And I think, especially after the pandemic, it's become a priority to me to foster the part of me, like the Nova Scotian that is about community, that is about like connection, that is about bringing like different friend circles together, because I think that was a beautiful part of myself that I loved in my 20s that I've not lost on purpose, but that's been just kind of left behind. And I think it's a really really beautiful and uncommon thing that Atlantic Canadians have, that should be celebrated. And I'm like almost trying to like re-emerge it for myself. So
I'm so happy you are.
Yeah, but it can get lonely here. Yeah, but everybody. Here's the thing: is everyone thinks that people in Toronto are cold or quiet or like not wanting to connect. I don't think it's that. I think it's that there's an intimidation here, and that people do desperately want to connect. And everybody, especially after the pandemic, is a little bit lonely. And like, if you think somebody doesn't want to connect, chances are they do. So connect.
Say hi.
Say hi. Say hi to Adam Wylde Jax when you see them. They want to meet you.
Yeah,
We'd love
absolutely.
to say I'd love to talk to people. Anybody. That sounded desperate.
No,
didn't
she
it?
does.
That's the perfect segue into talking about this TikTok that's taken off of you calling home to the East Coast. And I say calling home to the East Coast. I know you're calling throughout the Atlantic provinces and Newfoundland. But it really does feel like that's why the series hits so hard for people because there is an openness and a willingness to be friends with someone even if you're not quite sure if you know the voice on the other end. And I think you've tapped something really on the nose about why East Coast hospitality and friendship and community work so well in media, which is something that I think people, if you really look at who's hosting radio and shows in Canada, like if you're not from the East Coast, you've worked in the East Coast. Like the connections are one-to-one. Talk to me about this series and like the feeling of connection you get from talking to these folks. I know we see the highlights on TikTok, and you must call more people than you show on the internet.
And I can call, like, sometimes I called Amy from the lobby today, and my phone number was blocked because I forgot to turn it back on because I've been calling East Coasters yesterday, but I actually didn't get through to anybody yesterday. But you know what? I was calling too close to Live at 5. And that's why. And once I realized that it was 4:45 or so, like East Coast time, I said, that's rude, right? It's almost dinner time.
It's true.
It is, yeah, Live at 5's on. No, I think the first comment that I always see is that people are like, oh, it's so nice to talk to older people. They're so lonely. And again, I think everybody is. And I think simple, uncomplicated connection is so underrated. And I think that the beauty of the Maritimes is that it's uncomplicated. It's how are you doing? It's about dinner. How are you feeling? How was the weather? And that's it. And that's like, I don't know, it's simplicity. And I will say that I do call a lot of people, and sometimes I don't get through, but I've never had somebody be rude, ever, which is bizarre, right? Like,
can I also say there's an earnestness between like that East Coasters have, and what makes those calls so special is you are taking a genuine interest in them, and they have no idea who's calling them, and they are taking a genuine interest in you as well, and more than willing to open up to you. And I think that's really hard to find. That makes very me teary. Special. Yeah,
like it's but when they say what they're cooking, I do want to know, and when they say what they're up to, I do want to know, because it's often like they're in their backyard chasing deer, or they're like they're in their basement. Jesus, you know what I mean? Like they're getting wild. And East Coasters, hands down, and I will put this on record, are the best storytellers there are.
Yeah.
Like, and so whatever they're doing, the way that they tell it is going to be good. Yeah.
Fitting that you set this up in a kitchen, by the way.
Listen, if nothing, I'm a producer, right? So I'm a podcast host second to me trying to find a fun little set.
There is nothing better than a kitchen party, really. And it's funny, moving back here, it was a culture shock for me to leave, because I am that type of way naturally. I love talking to random people. Like my Nana was like that too. She would be in the grocery store, and Alberta's not. My grandmother was in Alberta, and Alberta's not like that in the same way. Yeah. And so she'd just be talking to anyone, and they'd kind of look at her like, and they just wouldn't talk back. And I think when I came back here, I realized I felt it immediately, and you do kind of miss that thing. And it's funny, my wife's family are big kitchen party people. So that kind of feels a little like home. You know, you kind of feel like, oh, okay, like I walk into that every once in a while, and I miss that. Because there are people that do that every weekend. That's like your weekend.
That's all you get up to. But when I walked in, I saw you, it was immediate warmth. Yeah. And like when I met you, you feel like the East Coast. And I think it's just, this excitedness and earnest. Yeah, just to see each other.
You guys aren't gatekeepy about it either. You're like, oh, you lived on the East Coast. Well, you're one of us now. Like it's never like, oh, well, you're not actually from here. You're whatever.
Never.
I like that.
Come on in.
And we're trying to get people to come. This is a big thing. Right? We're like,
don't frig with the housing economy, but like, come one, come all.
You condo buyers with your big podcast now, Leah.
No more Airbnb, okay? Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, I want to talk about the NHL playoffs. Okay, but I want to talk about it with.
Oh, you're talking to the right gal.
Do you want me to go?
Well, listen. I got something for you specifically, because I want to talk about the pop culture side of the NHL playoffs, because really this is as much hockey as it is Canadian pop culture Super Bowl, right? Like everyone is watching TV. If you're a hockey fan or not, like you're aware it's happening, right? It's like the common workplace conversation. Have you guys seen how fed up the internet is with the commercials airing during the playoffs?
Lay it on the line.
There's like only 3 commercials that are aired, and I think if you're streaming the games, it's even less. Do you know what's happening?
You haven't heard this, but there's a song called "Lay It On the Line."
He knows where I am on the internet. He knows where I am.
And it's
I'm far.
The lyrics are fitting, but Rogers in their infinite wisdom's like, hey, we have 3 months of playoffs, and we're gonna make one promo.
They're on the cycle. Okay, yeah, I have seen TikToks about this. Yeah,
and it's that song over and over and over, and I think people are getting like Pavlovian response to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
God.
It's,
Can
you know what,
yeah?
it is hilarious. And I think the best part about it is there are people who are making hilarious TikToks, like somebody like waking up and it's their sleep demon and they're singing "Lay It on the Line" by Triumph.
Can you play it for me? I want to hear
Can't hurt. I don't know if we can play it for you on the show.
Isn't that a bright case?
I used to have a yellow phone case because I'd lose it all the time.
I see. The reason I have it is so I can.
Case from you. This is got his banana phone.
So Triumph are a '70s band from Mississauga, and they are like, yeah. And this is just so I can. Yeah, oh yeah, and I can't play it because then it'll get demonetized. I don't want her to like get a copyright strike. But I'll play it for you afterwards.
That was a gentlemanly thing to do.
Well.
There, yeah.
So, okay, here's my question. Can we pitch a commercial for Rogers to swap in real quick? Is there another song they should consider so that people can chill out about that commercial?
Well, like what can we do can we get a classified song in there? Like what song that he does could, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like there's got to be something he's done. There's got to be something like even we want to go East Coast bands. Like we'll April Wine, another '70s band who I love.
What if we only played the Rankin Family?
Yes!
That's what I'm saying.
Ashley McIsaac. Let's play Ashley McIsaac. Let's get him in there with the fiddle.
Get the boys hype. Well, okay, World Juniors, they had Heave Away as the goal song, and it was lit.
I bet it was.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you know who knows the Halifax Moosehead song off by heart?
I was just about to say, if it's hockey, why don't we go with the Halifax Moosehead song?
Which
know
is?
it?
I think so. What is it?
Battle of the boards and the puckers lose. Just no use. Turning on the Jews. Slap, shot, shoot, score. You just can't stop the moves.
We're gonna have a lot for Jax, everybody. Hey!
That's all.
And if you don't get sponsored by the Mooseheads for that, I don't know.
I'm dying to
else?
go to Moosehead's game with you. I'm dying.
I'd love to go to
Oh my
any game
God.
with you. I want to go to a sports game with you. You won't take me.
Next time you come home, we'll all go to the Mooseheads.
Yes, I can't wait.
Tickets on me. They're like $20 a pop sometimes.
They are incredibly accessible. The Halifax Mooseheads wants.
Is it a good atmosphere in there? Like, is
Yes.
it loud and rowdy?
Here's the tea you didn't hear from me, even though this is very much on the podcast, okay? If you're in the nosebleeds, there's a lot of like fun happening. There's a lot of okay, and you didn't hear
like
that
fun.
from me. It's not allowed inside the Metro Center. Okay, Scotiabank Center.
It's Scotiabank Center now.
It's the Metro Center.
Oh, okay.
It's the Metro Center forever and always.
I'm not saying you should do it or you can't do it. I'm saying it's a very different experience up top.
Up in the Kush Kush section, Adam, you can get up there.
Listen, if you want to get away with it, there's always edibles, right? Like you can just, you don't have to.
If you want, you can't get away with anything on edibles. I have seen you, my honey. Yeah.
Not even a Mooseheads game.
Oh yeah.
We can put it to the test.
I like, as you can tell, I like to laugh, and I laugh even harder. It's just, my wife and I went to.
incredible.
My wife and I went to a party at Jax's house, typical kitchen party, and we took edibles beforehand. They were a little too strong. We spent the whole night like in the backyard, just sitting, making jokes with each other. And our mutual friend Jesse, who's my business partner at my other business, he's like, yeah, you guys didn't really talk to anyone. You just kind of sat in the corner and
Like just like this,
giggled
like
the
Adam's
whole
like this, like,
time.
like
And
by
like
himself.
heaving,
Like,
like
his faces are just so red, and you're like.
I need a podcast episode now on edibles. If you guys
oh, I would totally do that. I would do that.
Look at like this. There he is. There he is.
I would do that. I would do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next specific playoffs thing I want to chat about. Do you know what the Oilers win song is?
Go oil.
Okay, that's what you would think. It's Pink Pony Club.
Oh, love
Yeah.
that. It's good
So
for them.
there's a lot of confusion about why the Edmonton Oilers would
See-
pick Chapel Roan for their win
Seems
song.
a bit inclusionary for Alberta. Yeah.
Exactly.
But-
Well, I think Edmonton's a pretty progressive place, and so is Calgary. Like it's funny, you have the politics of Alberta, and then you have the people of Alberta, and it's so interesting because it's very. And I lived out there too. It's very much like I walked in the Pride Parade in Calgary, and people were out there and supporting whatever. I think it's just a few like loud yahoos that give
Quite a
that a
few,
bad
yeah,
name. Like
yeah.
most people there, like they don't care. And when I think about Twitter's such a mess, right? Like it's a total mess. So there was somebody who was like super like hardcore right-wing Politico person commenting on this Pink Pony Club choice, and they're like, well, the song is about strength and it's about this and it's about that, all these things that sort of the right, extreme right has adopted as like, these are our traits. And somebody commented underneath him and said, I don't know, dude, I think it's about being gay.
Yeah.
And it was just, tweet just exploded.
It's like queer celebration.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I think it's awesome. And I think that's how you sort of, I don't know if the Edmonton Oilers are like, oh man, we want to make a political statement here, but that is, to me, what we call like soft power. That's how you don't have to like yell it in people's faces. It just becomes a part of the culture. And to me, with all the regression that we're seeing right now, I feel like that's proof that it is actually working. And that you know, that over time people have just kind of accepted it, and I don't know, I like it. I think it's great, and it's so much better than the Leafs were stuck with this Hall & Oates song for years that their president loved. You make my dreams come true, and it was like it was torture because we lost every year. And then teams would, when they beat us, they would play "You Make My Dreams Come True" in their arena, and it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So.
Is the president has been let go though?
He's gone now. He's
Brendan
gone now.
Shanahan,
and I know you're
saw
a Leafs
on
Oilers
TikTok.
household, right?
Right?
We're like an 80% Oilers, 20%.
Okay,
like,
I'll take the
Leafs
20%.
Could do it.
And now, are you a Marchand household?
No.
Are you a Crosby household?
And I think that makes me a true East Coaster, that I am not a Marchand household.
Okay, because McKinnon and Crosby are gods, right?
Yeah.
Marshy is like persona non grata for some reason.
I had a post during
What?
oh my God, I'm blanking. But when he and Nate said we're all just playing together, I tweeted like, I can't believe this is the one and only time I'm going to be cheering for Brad. Have you guys seen the updated Cole Harbour sign?
Yeah.
So you know it's like welcome to Cole Harbour, home of Sidney Crosby. Yeah. Added plank underneath and Nate McKinnon. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, it's like an added different colored plank with like.
I love that.
Like Sydney's done his time. I mean, he's put like the Cole Harbour place. He's like essentially like just like completely flipped. Like he's a good guy and he minds his business. Whenever he's home, nobody knows. He's mostly home, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that or Pittsburgh.
But when Brad Marchand's home, oh, you know.
Oh, you know. Oh, you know. Clayton Park gets an emergency alert.
Yeah. It's just he's very very showy. I think that is from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we finally got to sit down.
Me too.
I can't believe we're already at 30 minutes.
Can I say something that may be too soon, but I love you, and you're so lovely, and Adam, a little hand.
Here we go. The shot's gonna be so.
Adam, come here. Adam, come here.
Sorry.
You're so funny and so great. And
Yeah,
we love
you're
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
You are awesome, and this was like the fastest half an hour.
hands are so
And my hands are sweaty. That's why I never went 1 minute.
You're so lovely.
You are great. Like this is fun.
I'd love to do this again.
I just want to say how jealous I am because I told her this off camera, but I was like, I can't believe that you're doing this in Halifax and then flying in. Oh my God,
Yeah.
if that had been a choice, I would have taken that, I think.
Well, hey, let's say the thing. I think that there's a lot of people that end up coming to Toronto and making it work in Toronto. And I think that sometimes people go like, oh, you left. And that's not the vibe that I ever want to give. I think like you have to do what you have to do for your career. I'm very much out here trying to be like, there are options. It's not only you have to go somewhere else. But I think it's also as important for people that do go make a career elsewhere to like talk about being in the East Coast, talk about having time in the East Coast, still calling home to the East Coast and making it part of who you are. Like, there's all kinds of ways to be from the East Coast, right?
I think you should be incredibly proud of yourself. Like when I left, the digital world wasn't as big, but the fact that you were like making it work, my God, you are hustling. But like
Yeah,
that
you're
you
working
still
hard.
you are staying home and you're making home priority is incredible because as somebody who's gone and very homesick, what you're doing is tremendous.
No, I'm gonna cry.
An
I'm
East Coaster
jealous.
who's
I'm
making it in
jealous.
media
Yeah.
without using the CBC.
My God! There we go! Yeah.
It's our podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. All the links will be below. Anything quickly you want to say before we?
Adam Wylde Jax on all socials. We release an episode every Wednesday, so.
Go Mooseheads, go.
Woo!